So let's move on to a Twitter question from one of our viewers. I'm going to pick on you, Representative Erdahl. I think this is a bill you know something about. It says, ask Representative Erdahl about House File 391 that deals with registering 16-year-olds to vote. I think the text of the question would suggest that the viewer's not in favor of it, but let's start with you, Representative Erdahl. Tell us what it's about.
Well, I'll give you a little genesis of what happened. Secretary of State Simon came into my office and asked me to to carry the House file of a bill that had already been introduced in the Senate dealing with the registration of 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to vote. The concept being to increase the civic awareness, participation in the voting process, which is a good thing. But I immediately recognized, from my standpoint, the standpoint of my House Republican caucus, that 16 would not work. So I agreed to take the bill to do an amendment, which I did do today, to make it 17. So what the bill does is it allows 17-year-olds to be able to register to vote. The fact is that right now in the state of Minnesota, if your birthday is before the election and you are 17, you can register. So this only impacts a fairly small number of people who are 17 but can't vote. And they now would be able to register if this became law. So that's what it is. And there's a lot of misinformation that was out about this, that 16-year-olds were going to be able to vote, that 17-year-olds would be able to vote, that data information from 16 and 17-year-olds would now be available for groups to contact. None of that's true. It's a very simple bill about involving more people in the electoral process. Many of that age group already are anyway, already can register. So what happened today is that the bill was laid over for possible inclusion in the elections bill, and that's where it sits now.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this?
I think, that the idea of having people more actively involved in voting is really a great idea, and trying to figure out ways to have that happen. One of the things, I hadn't heard about this bill until you started to talk about it this evening, but as you're talking, I was thinking about how 17-year-olds being able to register for vote engages them early in a conversation about their civic responsibility as they move towards the age of 18. And I really do believe we've missed a lot of our growing of young people's understanding of why they should vote and what their interest in their community and in government should be about. So I understand that this has possibilities for that, as well as actually bringing them to the polls to vote. There's another bill that I heard in Judiciary, perhaps you're familiar with this as well, which is to allow felons to regain their voting rights after they've completed their sentence and successfully completed probation. And it's also another way of allowing persons to really reconnect with their community and become responsible in their decision making. That's not decided yet either, but it is another area that we're looking at in terms of increasing people's participation in election.